Welcome to the Wedding Weeds podcast. Your host is Tracie Morris, award-winning certified wedding planner at her company, You're the Bride. Tracie has over 2 decades of wedding industry experience. She is a mentor, blogger, and influencer, and she shares real stories, tips, and advice with couples who are tying the knot. Tracie's team helps busy, engaged couples maneuver big and small details so that they can enjoy their wedding experience instead of getting lost in the details, which is much like getting lost in the weeds. Enjoy this episode.
Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of the Wedding Weeds podcast. I'm your host, Tracie Morris, and today I'm going to be talking about the most frequently asked questions that soon-to-be or already engaged couples ask me before hiring a wedding planner. So let's get started. There's a lot of questions that people, have on their mind. They need to vet a good wedding planner. They need to go through this whole process to find out who is the right fit. So today I just want to share a lot of the questions that might be on your mind if you're engaged or you're thinking that ring is coming soon. Okay, so let's go ahead and start talking about the first one, which is money. Do I charge for an initial consultation? No, I actually don't. I do offer that complimentary because I want to make sure, you feel good about chatting with me about what I bring to the table, as well as I want to get to know you and make sure you're a right fit for me, because not everybody is, and that's okay. So that's why we offer about a 45-minute consultation just to go over your questions, how the services work, to find out which package, might be right for you. Because we have some couples that will come to me and they're like, okay, I just want to do like day of coordination, which really is called wedding management. But then after I start going through a lot of questions, they're like, you can become overwhelmed because a wedding has a lot of moving parts and pieces. And then they realize, oh yeah, maybe we do need a full service planner, or at least guided partial planning, which is something we offer. So I really like to just spend that 45 minutes just to kind of go back and forth and answer the questions. That's how we get to know each other, making sure that you feel comfortable. By the end of the consultation, we do give a 3-day soft hold on the date. We cannot really reserve the date or save the date for you, but I do a little soft hold because, I do meet with a lot of people, but it's really first come, first serve. So the sooner you decide, the better, because after that 3 days, then I will release the date to another couple. Now, I also have people that like to basically just, pick my brain, which, is time consuming because I'm giving 45 minutes away. So we don't really do that for free. You have to respect our craft. That I have 27 years of knowledge in the wedding industry. And while I will meet with you complimentary, if you're actually interested in booking a package, if you're just somebody that might be like, say, a DIY bride, or you already know that it just isn't in your budget to get extra support, we do have a service where it is a private wedding strategy Zoom session that I'm happy to do. It is $100. It's 45 minutes as well. And that's an area where you can, jot down all your questions, things that you have no idea about, things you want to ask a wedding planner for a small investment of $100. Now, sometimes by the end of that call, people are like, wow, it's a lot, Tracie. So then they will, find the money somehow, and then they'll book me. So that's always nice. Also, people have asked me, are you, present at all of the vendor meetings? How does that go? That's another common question. Now, that is going to depend on the level of service that you choose from us. Day of coordination is basically starting at 60 days before. We do have the initial phone call. We also correspond quite a bit through our planning portal, Aisle Planner, which is amazing. Our clients love it. And then we will have a 60-day meeting. I try to do those in person unless you're out of state and, you're not able to come in for the meeting, or you're here for, like, say, your bridal shower or something. Then we can do that, over Zoom. We just want to make sure that, everybody's on the same page. And that really helps, because I know even in our Aisle Planner, there's a lot of comments going back and forth. So I really want to meet with you at least once before the wedding, which that is included in that package. And then we do a final phone call the week of the wedding, typically on a Wednesday, just to kind of make sure that all of our ducks are in a row. And, because at that point, we've already done our vendor confirmation calls on Monday. So we're finding out, that everything in the background is running smoothly. Vendors know where they're going. They're not going to the wrong location, because that has happened, believe it or not. As a bride, you're planning your wedding And this is a true story. This happened many years ago, but things happen. And this is why it's so important to have at least, at bare minimum, a day of coordinator in your corner. This particular bride, she doesn't even know. I may have talked about it in another episode now that I'm thinking about it, but she still has no idea. And she was probably married, I don't know, 15 years ago. She got 2 kids. But when we were confirming her vendor calls, the venue was like, we're going to drop them off at this one hotel on one side of the town, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no, her wedding is over here. And they were like, what? So we had to straighten out that little snafu. And she just thought because she had her contract and everything was all set that those linens would be there on the day of, and they would have not been there on the day of. So we will catch those mistakes and disasters before they happen. So it's always good to have a extra set of eyeballs on all of your plans. Another question that I have been asked is, what is the largest and what is the smallest wedding that you have either planned or, coordinated, managed? To date, the largest wedding, 700. And then I had I would say my smallest one was only about 50. And that was just a small marriage at, a celebration. They just wanted to keep it very small, minimal, friends and family. That one I remember was up in Saginaw, and they got married outside. And we just had, a little restaurant reception, but it was still very pretty. We were able to customize things, beautiful florals. It was a very nice, intimate celebration. So I'm very experienced with mostly large, but I'm happy to do small events too. And honestly, this season, wedding I did the other day only had about 55. This weekend, I have another one that's maybe like 60. Some of the guest lists this season, I know I've got one that's a little larger at 180. I think I have a 117. So it's kind of all over the map, but I can definitely handle, bigger crowds. And then I always bring one assistant with me, sometimes on the larger weddings, depending on our setup, and timing to get into the space and all that. And once I assess your inventory list and the things that you're bringing, because we do basic setup. We're not, we're not your florist. We're not getting on ladders. We're not the wedding catch-all, which we've talked about in other episodes. But we need to do our job effectively. So that's why we can't, go and get on ladders and help the florist out, because we have our own things to handle behind the scenes to make sure your day is smooth. So yes, we bring, like I said, an assistant or an intern, and bringing interns is a wonderful thing that I love to do, because this really gets them hands-on experience, and they're under my guidance, and this is how they learn. So sometimes it will be an intern with me as well. And then, I get asked, is there going to be an extra charge for the staff? But as I said, every package I do offer is included with at least one assistant. But if I feel that we are going to need, another assistant on top of the one assistant, because there is just like, let's say you're a heavy DIY bride, okay? We do have a few of those. I would say most of them do have a full service florist and decorator, but they're, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's, what you want to do and make items, because there's so many brides that are very crafty. I've actually been so impressed by some of the things that these girls can make for centerpieces. But if if it's a lot of setup and a lot of DIY, takes a lot of extra time and setup, and we want to make sure it's right to your vision. So then that would be an additional $200 fee if we do need to bring in somebody. And we would let you know that at our meeting. So it's always important that you be honest with me during consultation, or once we get into what your decor is, and I need to see a picture of it and be like, yeah, this is going to take more hands on deck, because there's all these extra candles and they have to be lit, or things have to be put together. But we really do have, that you need to have everything pretty much assembled as much as you can at home. And then you bring it in like your tote Rubbermaid container, and then we'll be placing them out. But we do understand that sometimes things need a little bit of zhishing, is what I call it. So then another important question I get asked a lot is, as you're the wedding planner or coordinator, are you going to read over our vendor contracts? Because as we know, contracts do have pitfalls, and there's things that you need to look out for. I actually am one of those coordinator wedding planners. Even if you're just hiring me for my basic service of just day of management, I still look over your vendor contracts, because it's important. I need to know who's coming to the wedding, how many hours, what service you have hired them for, and when I look through these contracts, now I've touched about this in other episodes, and it's just a reminder to you vendors who I do love, but please put your contact information on it. So when I do see something or have a question on behalf of our mutual client, I can reach out to you and we can discuss it. And I realize that sometimes your contract is just to lock in the date, get the security retainer, and then you do iron out some things down the road. But without contact information, or I'm wasting all my precious time because I'm very busy Googling you, it just really is a disservice. So just please put those on there. We would really appreciate it. One of the common pitfalls that sometimes, the couples don't think about is if you're having a wedding and you decide you want to rent china or glassware or flatware, which is silverware, how does that get handled? Who sets it up? Who is clearing the dishes? Who is going to scrape the dishes? Okay. So you have to have a good wait staff, obviously, and you can talk to them about that or ask me those questions, and I'll obviously bring somebody in. If we're at a raw venue, downtown Detroit, we'll give the Jam Handy a shout out. Okay. Love the Jam Handy. Anyhow, but with that is a venue that you have to bring every single thing in down to the salt and pepper shakers. Now he does have some tables and chairs that are very eclectic looking, but some brides don't want that look. So then they'll do a whole rental order. And, you have to think about who is going to be clearing and setting up and all that. And the contracts, sometimes brides and grooms, you don't always read them. So that's why you need our expertise to guide you. So a lot of rental companies will require that those dishes need to be scraped off. The leftover food has to be gone, and then you basically put them back in a crate. Sometimes they have to be rinsed off. So there's certain guidelines, and if you don't follow those, then you're going to be charged when you bring these dishes back, or when the caterer takes them back with them if you're renting them through them. And that's actually my biggest suggestion is go with a full service caterer that offers a china service, brings their own staff. They also have bartenders. They're insured. They're tip certified. They know what they're doing. And it's just so much easier if you can streamline and use the same company for all those things. So I love Thomas's Catering out of Westland. So we will give them a shout out. I also used to work there as a catering sales manager, booking the events, helping set up the events. I've done it all. So I'm very experienced in how catering works on the back end, the front end, producing the product. Definitely read your contracts when it comes to rentals, catering, all that. So now we're going to pause for a break, and we're going to hear a little bit about mixed tiles.
Hey, have you ever heard of mixed tiles? They're actually these cool picture frames that you can hang on the wall. They have a magnetic backing. They're peel and stick. You can adjust them to perfection. Once you have them on the wall, you can actually move them around. You can move them to different rooms in the house. They leave no marks. They're amazing. So if you'd like to order these, just use my discount code WQ21Z as in zebra, 8, C as in cat, T for Tracie, for 10% off at the checkout. And that's, again, Mixed Tiles. That's www.mixtiles.com. MIXTILES.com. They're wonderful, especially for wedding pictures.
Okay, welcome back. So our next question is, does the wedding planner or the coordinator, because I'm hired sometimes as a full service wedding planner, and I'm also hired sometimes as just your coordinator, depending on what package again you go. So they're asking me, do you create a timeline, Tracie? Do I create? Who creates the timeline? Because, a photographer has their own timeline. A DJ has their timeline. So what my job is to have the master timeline. The master timeline, I don't let the clients touch. We do keep it in our planning portal. I call it the Bible for the day because it really is. Now, because there's so many other vendors involved, they all have their own timeline, but my job is to hone it all in, make sure all those vendors are on the same page on my timeline. So it's very important that we work together. We have communication behind the scenes, so just if you're hiring me for day of management, coordination is what the couples call it. Just know that even though that service, is a one-day service, I'm not just showing up and being like, hi, I'm here. No. we have to do our background work, our background checks. We do the timeline, which is very time consuming to, reach out, make sure we're all on the same page, make sure everything is accounted for. There's always schedule changes. Maybe after I meet with the photographer, she's like, well, or he, they may need an extra, 15 minutes to do bridal portraits in the morning, or the makeup artist ran behind. So there's always something. So I try to pad it a little bit. So I'm an expert in timelines. So it's definitely important to go with somebody that does timelines. And honestly, I don't really know any planners that wouldn't do a timeline. It's important. So that will be me. It keeps everything organized. You can, obviously you can share it with the bridal party, your parents, if that's something you want to do. One of the nice things that we offer in our princess level collection, which is a guided planning, is we will do something called a bridal party letter. And once we get all the details set for the wedding, we'll put together this letter that we'll send out to your bridal party. And it just kind of gives them an idea of, hey, we're coordinating. We've been, working with this client, planning all the details. We're super excited. This is what time the rehearsal is. We give them the address, the time. We let them know on the, where the dinner is. Then the next day we say, bring these items, your dress, make sure it's steamed, no gum chewing. We want you to, have your shoes cleaned for the men, make sure all your jewelry is there. It's just a little laundry list of, basically it's helpful reminders. And then we'll send that out to your bridal party so they have a little idea that we'll be on site that day managing everything, the whole wedding. And then for questions and answers, they can email us back, because I put my contact information on that, because some people do have questions before the wedding. And then also on the day of, we're foreshadowing that we'll be on site to help with the whole event. So that's very helpful as well, because as you know, weddings have a lot of logistics and moving parts. Okay, so another question that we have is, I get asked a lot, well, can you help me with my invitation wording? Because, Emily posts, there's a lot of etiquette to know. And lucky for you as your planner, if you decide to hire me, I sold wedding invitations, oh my gosh, for probably 20 plus years, where I used to have the big catalogs. I'd have couples come to my home in my office, and they would scour through all the invitations. I'd help them with programs, save the dates, accessories, everything. So I'm very, very familiar and seasoned with proper etiquette and how to word your invitations, reception cards, respond cards, any informal notes or anything that you plan on putting in there. I can definitely help you with that. So that's another important thing that we can assist you with. So another question would be, when in the planning process should you actually hire your wedding planner or, day of coordinator? Well, our dates do fill up quickly. So, there's no time like the present. When you get that ring, you're in wedding mode and you're excited and you're like, oh my gosh, where are we going to have the wedding? What photographers do you start, scrolling and looking on Instagram? But you really should think about your wedding planner if you're going to go with just a coordinator or a full service wedding planner, because earlier in the game is the better, because you might think that you can, navigate all this on your own. And a lot of clients, like I said, that's why we have a consultation and we start chatting, and sometimes they just start getting overwhelmed and they'd rather just hand the whole thing over to somebody else. Now you will have to do, some level of, tasks that I'll be assigning, like, you're going to want to go pick out your wedding dress and the groom will get the tuxes and those types of things. But that's fun. That's the fun stuff, is going to go shopping with your parents or your bridesmaids and all that. But I would say it's helpful because I know so many venues in Metro Detroit. I know what the rules are. I know load-in. I know the setup. I know the ballroom, how the flow is. So it's really helpful, because these are all things that you're going to need to know. And if you've never done this, I've done this over 500 times in my 27 years. So I can lend you so much expertise in the beginning and help you find the right space to have your event. Whether you're looking for, something like, say, downtown, the Colony Club, a beautiful venue, lots of architecture. They have a couple different spaces. You can have your wedding on site at the Colony Club. Masonic Temple is another great space. So there's just so many spaces, and we get to chat about, what is your style? What's your vibe? Would you rather have something just like a garden event where I need to recommend a venue that has like a beautiful lawn or something like that? Grosse Pointe, War Memorial is a beautiful wonderful spot for that out back to have your ceremony and cocktail hour. So many options. And instead of just spending all these hours Googling and researching and filling out contact forms, it's so much easier if you go with a planner, because we're in your back pocket and we can definitely help you over so many hurdles when you start getting like the vendor contracts from them and what to look for again. So going back to the main part of the question, I would say, as soon as you get engaged, try to find your planner. If you're just needing, like, you want to really navigate it yourself, maybe with your parents or mom or sister, but you still want professional expertise because you don't want to waste time making mistakes, and maybe opt for our guided planning, which is our princess service that we could start, 6 to 9 months out. I've actually had people that have done it in, way less than that. So if that's what you want to do, that's totally fine. I actually love when I have a shorter window, because then we have to move quickly. I call it accelerated wedding planning. But for the sake of you, I'm fine. I can work very fast and still make amazing connections and recommend wonderful vendors for you. But you also have to keep in mind that if you are doing, like, you get engaged and then let's say your wedding's in 3 months from now, you have to make the decisions quickly. We may not have all my favorite top tier vendors available because they're already booked out for the couples that did plan ahead. But not to fear, I've got tons of connections, 27 years in the industry, so I can find you vendors that will be amazing for your special day as well. If you're just going to go with like day of or month of, those two services, one starts at 60 days out. Month of is actually, even though it's called month of, we start at 90 days out. So 3 months before, we're going to, set up a meeting. We're going to go through all of your plans and see basically where you're at and all the details, and then come up with like a good action plan. Again, the sooner the better. Okay. And a lot of couples also say, well, how much involvement will you actually have in each of those packages? But again, it does depend on which, we call it a collection or package, whatever package you choose. And we can go over more of that in dethel. Like if you're looking at the month of package versus the guided planning, on the website, it gives a really good synopsis, which is yourethebride.com. That's yourethebride.com. It'll give you a good overview of what's included in the packages and how it will benefit you on your wedding day. So you're not managing all these things behind the scenes, and vendor arrivals and people that are late and setting things up wrong. Even though you may have done a floor plan with the banquet hall, I've seen things get set up wrong. The people just don't pay attention. They're in a hurry. They're trying to get this set up because they have to move on to the next setup in the room. They miss silverware at settings. Like, we look for everything because we're all about the guest experience. That reflects on you. If someone comes to your wedding, they sit down in a chair and they're being served a nice filet and there's no knife at the setting. Oh my God, that's so disappointing because you're hungry. Your mouth is salivating to, eat this amazing dinner that the bride and groom or couple has, purchased for you, and you have to wait around for a knife. So we like to check all those little details. Okay. So it's important, but yeah, it depends on the package you get. We do check that though. We do go around, even if we're doing our basic service day of, we're checking all those things because, a fork might fall on the floor and then somebody forgets to go and put it back. So there's just a plethora of things that you do not want to deal with when you're in hair and makeup and you're trying to have a mimosa and just chill with your guys or your girls. Trust me. So make the investment and get yourself at least at minimum a day of coordinator/planner. Okay. So then people might, ask me if they can't find this information on my website, which you can, or on our Instagram. I am the owner of You're the Bride, the lead planner. I'm highly experienced. I've been in this wedding industry doing weddings now for 27 years. I'm actually a certified wedding planner. I don't think in Metro Detroit, there may be one other one, maybe two, I don't know, but there really aren't that many. So I take my craft and my professional career very serious, and I've learned, all the ins and outs. I also attend industry events, conferences to brush up on my skills. And then we also, as I mentioned previously, I do have event assistants, coordinators, interns. They're all trained exclusively by me, and they are amazing girls and they want to learn the industry. So I love to take them under my wing. And in last month's episode, I did talk about our internship program. I have actually been a mentor for 16 years, and I am on my 30th mentee that I am mentoring right now. And I'm super excited because this weekend she actually gets to go out to one of our weddings. So we're going to see her in action. And she is doing amazing right now behind the scenes. That is Ilana. Wonderful with all the back end stuff. Like every task I give her, she's very, professional, positive, communicating with our clients. Everything's under my direction. She's working on timelines. So I cannot wait till Saturday. It's going to be a wonderful experience and a great wedding. Okay. Another question that's very important is, do I carry insurance? And the answer is yes, definitely. You have to have insurance to be in business, or if you don't, you definitely should. I do carry $1 million for both general and professional liability, because we don't know what's going to happen on the wedding day. I come equipped with an emergency kit, a clipboard, iPad, very minimal, because we're not, the vendors bringing in DJ equipment and stuff, and those vendors definitely need to have coverage, because if you walk into, say the Detroit Yacht Club with all of your DJ equipment and you bump a wall and break something, knock a vase over, you're going to have to pay the venue to replace that. So you never know what can happen. I could accidentally bump something, something could happen. So we definitely want to be covered. So that's very important. Okay, so then I've had clients or soon-to-be clients that would ask me, I'm looking for just like a month of coordinator. Do you guys offer that? Like, what's the difference? I think I did touch on it a little bit, but yes, like I said, we start working with you 90 days out. It just gives me a better, bird's eye view of what kind of work you've been doing on your wedding. I can pick up on little issues that might turn into issues so that we can prevent them before it escalates into something. And then, like I said, the wedding management day of coordination is our 60-day. And the good thing is both of those packages actually include ceremony rehearsal coordination, and the month of actually has a couple other extras. So again, just visit our website and you can kind of see the difference between the two. But if you still have any confusion, please schedule the complimentary 45-minute session with me. I would be happy to go over any of those details with you so you can make the right decision for your wedding day. Next, I've been asked, this is a big one. I probably could do a whole separate podcast episode on this, and maybe I will. Couples, they're on the fence. They're talking to all these other couples in Facebook groups, oh, you don't need a coordinator. You don't need a day of. The venue has somebody, they'll do all the setup. No, the venue coordinator role and an actual wedding planner day of coordinator are two different completely things. You definitely need to have your own representative there, a coordinator in your corner. The venue coordinators, they're great, but their capacity, their role is so different than mine. Now, I will say there are a couple good venues in the area that have a venue coordinator that do some of the day of stuff, but not nearly as much as we do. Like, we're taking care of so many things. So, for example, let's say the boutonniere, we're going to pin on some boutonnieres and the boutonnieres are missing or it breaks. I don't think the venue coordinator really wants to get into all that. They may not know how to fix it. I had to fix one at Saturday's wedding. The head of the rose broke off. So I have stuff in my emergency kit to, pin it back together, do whatever we need to do to fix it and get it done. The limo could be running late. So I'm monitoring all those things. Plus I work with, a lot of transportation companies that I'm the contact person. So on the day of, I'm getting text messages sent to my cell phone to know, hey, we just arrived to the hotel to pick up the bride. We're going to be at the venue now to drop them off. We're on the way. And then they're going to pick up the groomsmen. So I'm in the loop of all that. Your venue coordinator is not. So she doesn't even know, or he doesn't know there's a transportation issue. So you definitely need to have somebody besides the venue, because they're great, but their main concern is food and beverage, making sure the back end of the house and their serving staff is doing what they're doing. But again, like I said, sometimes we have to double check them. No offense, but we do, because people forget things, and we want to make sure your guest has that steak knife to cut into that nice juicy filet, right? Okay. Next, we have some people that, again, they just want a day of coordinator. how does that work out? People will sometimes say, it's just a small little wedding, Tracie. Do you really think we need a coordinator? Can we do it ourselves? Yeah, you still need somebody, because do you really want to be the one, it's your special day, trying to manage the logistics when people aren't showing up, things are late, when that knife is missing, just too many questions. Nobody wants to deal with that. You've been working, your butt off to plan this amazing event for you and your new partner. Why would you want to be the project manager on your wedding day? Like, no, you don't. So when you hire You're the Bride, I am going to be, most of the time, I'm your team lead. Unless I'm booked out that day for another event, then we'll have another team member come and manage everything that you'll definitely get to meet beforehand. So that team lead is managing the vendors. They're making sure everything is on schedule. They're adjusting on the fly because, again, things happen. So we have to problem solve, and you don't want to hear about them. So we always remain calm, friendly. It is the minimum service that you need to have. And it allows us to deliver, an excellent service, and we're not satisfied with anything less. So at least try to get the day of. We're always going to go the extra mile for you. We're going to get the job done. We have tons of reviews that you can look up on the Knot or Wedding Wire. It's basically, the peace of mind that you deserve. So I would say if you can swing it, we do have payment plans, which is our next question. I'm going to segue into that because some people are like, oh, it's an investment. Right now, our current day of management is $2,500, but I do offer a payment plan, or, you can split it. Generally, we do 50% retainer down to lock in your date. And then we will do on the larger packages, because those are a lot more money for the investment, we'll do 25%. Now, if you're ever in a situation and you're like, oh, I really want the day of for $2,500, can you do it in 4 payments? Yes, we can help you out and do it in 4 payments. I'd rather see you have a coordinator so you have a smooth day than worry about how to come up with a 50% retainer. So I'm definitely flexible on working with you on a payment plan. Okay, so now we're going to take a little pause and we're going to hear from the Built Bar.
Hey friends, have you ever heard about a Built Bar? Well, I'm about to tell you about the Built Bar. It is a fabulous chocolate treat, and it's actually good for you. These protein bars taste like a candy bar, and they will knock your socks off. If you know me personally, I'm out on social media always talking about the Built Bar. They are the best thing that I have ever discovered. And I discovered them one time on a trip to Arizona. And my friend handed me this Built Bar, and I had never heard of them. So I tried the coconut puff, and oh my God, it's amazing. These Built Bars are low in sugar. I'm talking only about 7 grams. Low in calories, about 140 calories a bar. High in protein, which is what you want if you're working out, you're trying to lose weight for, a wedding maybe, any special event, or just to stay in shape, right? Because we all could use a little bit of weight loss in our life, trying to fit into those pants. 15 to 17 grams of protein. The flavors are amazing. Cookies and cream, cookie dough. We've got brownie batter, mint chip. Aren't you salivating? Yes, you are. Chocolate milkshake. Hello. Everybody's on the salted caramel train. They've got churro, mint puff. I mean, the list just goes on and on. But also, these have collagen in them, which is good for skin when you're getting a little bit older. But you guys got to check these out. I do have a special discount code you're going to be putting in at the checkout. YTB, of course, for You're the Bride. Built. BUILT. It's all together. YTB Built. And you'll get 10% off your purchase. I'll go ahead and put this in the show notes, but I really hope that you'll try these, because once you do, you will be hooked just like me. Got to try it. Got to love it. They're amazing.
Okay, and thank you, and welcome back to the Wedding Weeds podcast. I do really appreciate your listening, and I do hope you're enjoying this episode and you'll pass it along to a friend. But let's get back to the frequently asked questions. We do have a couple more to go. So the next question is, what do you handle, Tracie, that I might not even think of? Okay. Well, I love to educate our clients who don't understand the value of a planner because, oh my gosh, if you've been listening to the Wedding Weeds podcast from the beginning, I do sprinkle in issues that come up and ways that we can navigate to handle them. There is just so many things we have to be on alert, but still, again, remain calm and friendly because we can get a curveball thrown at us on the day of. And I am definitely not going to go to the bride or the groom and tell them about this curveball. We have to just figure it out. Okay. So, but one particular example was a wedding I did down at the Rattlesnake Club, which honestly, I don't think they're in business anymore. That was a great venue, but it was a Jewish wedding, very, very windy. And, that's right down by the Detroit River. And we had the chuppah set up outside. Horrible windy day for this couple, and the whole thing blew over. By that point, the rental company, they were there, first thing in the morning to set it up. It wasn't really windy then. So whose problem is this now? Mine. I have to figure out how to get this whole chuppah set up again, keep it up so we can have a ceremony because we're expecting the wedding to start, within, I think, 35, 40 minutes. So that day was a little cray-cray, but we made it happen. It was my assistant and myself, or maybe an intern. We went into the Rattlesnake Club, and I was talking to my contact there. That's why it's very important to establish who your contact person is. They grabbed some, servers. So that took a village that day. We just made it happen because, it's not technically their job to put up a chuppah or to help with it, but we're all team players in the industry and we all have your back. Okay. So we all want to make your wedding day as smooth as possible. So, it was a challenge. I'm not going to lie. I was thinking secretly, oh my gosh, are we going to be able to pull this off? And we did. We sure did, because that's what we do. Okay, so moving along. Now, I get couples that say, do you recommend vendors to us? Can I research my own? Can I have a family friend? I am not an advocate for the family friends, except when they're a wedding officiant. Back in the day, I was like, your friend's going to marry you? Really? But I have grown to actually love when the friends get ordained and can marry them because they're the ones that know you the best and they can tell your love story, how you met. And honestly, those are really the best ones that I love. Now, other vendors that are your friends, if they have a real business, licensed business, but honestly, I've seen disasters happen where they're like, oh, my aunt is going to make the cake or my friend. And I did talk about that in one of my mishaps episodes. You might want to run it back and go listen to that one. I don't remember which episode it was, maybe 3 or 4. And I think this is episode 12 now. But anyhow, the bride, had her friend make the cake and it was a mess. It started sliding. It was an outdoor wedding. It was hot. I had to run in the kitchen of the home where we had it out in the backyard and get platters and basically disassemble the cake before it hit the grass. So you need somebody that knows what they're doing. Just because it's a free gift or cheaper, it's not always better. It is not. So I'm very much an advocate for licensed professional vendors. We love recommending our clients to vendors who are tried and true. They know what they're doing. We work together. It's just better. So I would say I strongly recommend don't find vendors on, Craigslist. If there's somebody at your work, a friend of yours that used a certain, DJ or something, then that's fine. That's different. But let me know who they are so I can kind of vet them myself. Maybe I've heard about them in the industry. And that's the other thing is I am a very honest, straight shooter. You are spending your hard-earned money to put this spectacular event together. You need to have amazing vendors in your corner. You don't want somebody that's slacking on the day of, who's horrible with communication during your planning process. That's one of the biggest things I hear of too from brides. You pay your retainer or deposit and they take your money and then they don't even talk to you. It's horrible. You need to feel secure in your investment and who you are going to be working with for many months out. So as a planner, I can assure you, I'm not that kind of planner that just takes your money and doesn't talk to you ever again, no matter what service you are. If you're just the basic service, I'm checking in with you every couple months. You can feel free to check back with me or give me updates or ask questions. I want to keep the dialogue going so I know that you're okay. So watch out for that. But you can bring some of the vendors. It's just going to depend. We really need to have a conversation about it, because I do have in my contract that you have to have like a professional caterer, professional bartending, because another reason why you need all that is you don't want to be on the hook if you have Uncle, Sam tending bar and he is not, certified by the state of Michigan. He doesn't know how to properly cut off a guest if they're getting a little bit unruly and drunk and all that. Like, you just don't want that. And there's too much liability. So you need people that are insured, and I can get you the proper people. Okay. Another question we have is, do you help with cultural weddings, themed weddings, non-traditional? Yes, we actually have a whole page on the you'rethebride.com website that is dedicated to all the cultural weddings we've done. There's some amazing, gorgeous pictures by our fellow photographer friends. Oh my gosh, I have done so many different cultures. I've learned so much. If it's a culture that I'm not familiar with, again, I'm honest. I say, no, I'm not, but I would love to learn about it. I'll research it. And the consult, the bride and groom will, or couple will tell me what those traditions are. And, we make it happen. So I've done Filipino, I've done Indian, I've done Arabic, I've done, I love Jewish weddings. Those are probably my favorite. There's a whole list of all the cultures. So if you're thinking, I wonder if she's familiar with Korean weddings. Yes, I am. Chinese weddings. Yes, I am. So there's just a ton of different cultures. And if there's a new one, I'd love to learn about it. It's so interesting because I keep track of my Google Analytics. And somebody out here, many people keep searching on Bosnian weddings, and somehow it's coming back to our blog. So we must have done a blog on Bosnian weddings. Not really sure why, because I never had a Bosnian client, if that's even the right terminology. But hey, if you're out there and you're Bosnian, hit me up. I'd love to learn about your culture and be your planner or coordinator. Okay, so now here's a huge, huge question. What happens if something goes wrong on my wedding day, Tracie? Okay. Well, that's the things I already touched on. We're constantly on high alert, still being calm and friendly. We're watching all these moving parts, everything, we're watching the clock. Is the cake really here at 3? Is the officiant coming? Where are they at? We can make those phone calls because you're the bride. You do not, or groom, you don't want to be on your cell phone trying to figure out where the heck your cake is. Are they stuck in traffic? Was there an accident? That's what my job is. I'm running the, interference of all the vendors, the whole circle of the day. Yes, you may have hired them and signed and all that, but you need to give the baton away to me, and then I can manage all that behind the scenes so you can be happy and just relax with your bridal party, have, your mimosas in the morning, get hair and makeup, really take in the day and be intentional. Because if you're sitting there trying just to save money, yes, it's an investment, like I said, but you're going to have the best day ever because you do not want to be on the phone. Because what happens when you're on the phone and you're arguing with the vendor, like, where the heck is my cake? Your pictures are now going to be bad because your face is upset, right? You can see it happening. So do yourself a favor and make the investment, and at least at minimum, again, get a DF coordinator, okay? You won't be sorry. Okay, so now this is actually one of my favorite questions, and I do enjoy talking about this. I will have couples that will say, well, Tracie, what's your favorite part of the wedding? You've been doing weddings for 27 years. I would say my favorite part is on the day of, getting to the point where we have done all the work, all the planning meetings, just checklist, everything, okay? I love, love, love when I have my bride in her dress and I can fluff her train, check her jewelry, make sure it's straight, show her how to hold her bouquet at her belly button, put her arm typically in her father's arm. I'm telling you, it is the best. It's the best moment ever, you guys. I love it. I love seeing that all the work that we put in has finally come to fruition. I mean, just imagine this moment. If you're a bride to be, or a couple to be, this is what you're relishing in. You're like, oh my God, I can't wait till that day that I get to be in my dress, be all dressed up, see everything that I picked out and planned for months, see my, spouse mate at the end of the aisle. I mean, I'm telling you, it's so amazing. I just love it. And the planning, yes, the planning is finally over. All the to-do lists, all the checklists, they are gone. You can finally celebrate with your friends and family. Now, while you're celebrating, I'm only celebrating internally because as a wedding planner or coordinator, I still have work to do at the reception. Haha. But I do. But I love it, you guys. This has been the best career. I'm so, so blessed for all the clients that have put their trust in me for 27 years. And we're not done yet, okay? We still have a lot more weddings to go. So now you might be wondering, wow, this is a lot, Tracie. There's so many things to think about in choosing the right, any vendor, not just your planner, but any vendor. But that's why I'm in your corner to guide you through the process, okay, of who you can pick. And you might want to know a little bit more about me. I'm an open book. Couples want to know what is the experience that your clients have had with you, Tracie. Well, I probably wouldn't be in business 27 years if they were bad experiences, right? Now, you can check my reviews. You can see them on the website itself. We have like a widget that is from, the Knot or Wedding Wire. I also have reviews, sprinkled in that you can read. And, we don't do fake reviews. They're all real reviews from real brides and grooms. If you needed to actually speak to someone on the phone, I can give you phone numbers. My clients are happy to talk to you about working with me and my team. So that was a lot. I know it was like 18 questions, but if you need to review these, I'll have a link in the show notes to our FAQs that you can go back and look. You can reach out, to me at tracie@yourethebride.com, which is also in the show notes if you need to get in touch. If you want to book a consultation, we would love that. And yeah, thank you today for listening. But before I wrap this up, I just want to say, again, thank you for being a listener. I can't believe we're already, this far into the podcast and these many episodes because it was a challenge getting it started, but I'm sticking with it. I really enjoy it. But if you could go in and leave me a 5-star review on whatever platform, whether it's Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, I would really love it. I would also love if you would share our episodes and, maybe just tell a friend because I'm still striving to grow the Wedding Weeds podcast, obviously like a weed, and I need your help to please do it. So I would so appreciate it. But yeah, I believe that is pretty much everything I wanted to discuss in today's episode. So I hope that you will find it helpful. But again, reach out if you'd like a consultation or have any questions. And I'm always open for new topic ideas. I am working on the next couple, hoping to bring a guest on. Remember, when you do listen to the podcast, if we have a guest on, that will be on our YouTube channel as well. So then you can actually, see my face, see my guest face. And I enjoy those ones as well. So we'll be sprinkling in a couple more guest episodes as well. But I am Tracie Morris, and I am signing off of the Wedding Weeds podcast. So bye for now.